going on in your life now? And maybe we'll just lead into Big Brother.
So I am in the middle of writing a movie script. It's based on kind of my life in narcotics, but also it's taken a lot of what's going on in the world right now and trying to find a way to move past where we are currently. We're in a situation where law enforcement and a large portion of the community are not on the same page right now. And the reality is we're never going to be 100% on the same page, but we need to find a common ground that we can all agree on, and so that we can work together to get there. And that's why I want to call the movie, tentatively, it's called Divided We Stand. And what I mean by that is, yeah, we can be divided on certain ideologies, but we still have to come together to accomplish this common goal, which is to make our community better than it is now. In the movie, it's a little bit more sexy than that. You got to think Lethal Weapon with kind of
Yes.
with the Equalizer, right? And
Okay.
and, and,
Okay.
and he's in and he's
Ooh.
in and we're talking about a white detective who has a black wife, and this his wife's father was someone who experienced police brutality as a kid, and his father was killed by police. So as you can imagine, he's not a big fan of cops. I don't want to spoil it too much, but um, something happens to the wife. This father and the white cop come together to accomplish something that, even though they both don't really like each other, even though they don't agree on everything, there's one thing they now have in common, and they come together to work collectively to accomplish this adventure that they've set themselves out on. So I think it's a kind of a cool concept. We'll see how it goes. I mean, in the movie business, I'm new to it. It may just be a couple months of me writing a script that goes nowhere, but I'm actually enjoying it way more than I even enjoyed writing my book. So even if it goes nowhere, I'm happy. It's been a fun process. And as far
There's
as
no,
everything else, go ahead. You hit me with something there.
no. I'm just thinking like, there's no way with Netflix just needing content for their streaming services. I can see that being on there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, no
think
doubt.
I
100%.
think I mean the script itself, like there's been some good movies that like have kind of captured like the law enforcement correctly, and then there's a lot that don't. And I think
Yeah.
my whole like the number one thing we have to do is make sure we get it right, like true, like what it really is like there on the streets, like. And I think that's really important to me, and I think bringing people in who are people of color who have experienced the other side to tell that story is important as well, because you're going to see two different perspectives: the perspective from a white cop, how it really is out on the street for them, and you're also going to see this perspective from a person of color and how they view law enforcement and how they are sometimes treated by law enforcement. So it's good. I'm hoping that when the viewers watch it, there is anger and there's also empathy. You know what I mean? Like, I want to elicit those emotions, and then I want people to say, "Damn, I kind of agree with one side, but I love the fact that they're coming together and they're
Yeah.
working as one." And I hope it sends a bigger message, which is like, this is kind of a microcosm for our society that we're in right now. But the reality is, we can stay divided as long as we want, but we're never going to accomplish anything if we do. It's going to take all of us to get to a place where we all look in the mirror and go, "I'm happy where we are today in our society." So it's kind of, I just felt it's something that has a feel good message to it, and also I think it could be a really really badass movie. I think it'd be a
Yeah.
really we're due for like another Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
had one in a long time.
100%.
So I'm like I've been watching Lethal Weapon, literally like burning it out on Netflix. So it's one of those things where I'm just inspired by it, and we need another Murtaugh, and we need another, you know what I mean? Like, we need those
Yeah.
characters.
100%.
I was
Yes.
so excited for that show that came out. Like, I don't even know if it's still on, but the Lethal Weapon series. But I watched
Yeah,
like two or three in, and I like died out. I was like,
didn't didn't do it
that
for
is
me.
exactly, that tells you how good Mel Gibson was in that movie. Like, like
Yeah.
you can't replace him. Like, he was born for that role.
Yep. It was a great
Um,
movie. So that's one thing I'm working on, and then obviously to pay the bills, I have a private investigation firm. We do a lot of security consulting, do a lot of cold case investigations, a lot of litigation work, and I have a couple TV projects. We just had an episode for Discovery Channel air Monday night. I did a Tiger King special, and then
just saw that on Twitter. Yeah.
yep, and we got another
What
Okay.
and
what
I got
is that
another
about?
project.
Go back to that, because obviously we're
Yeah,
Florida, so I know Tiger King wasn't like based in Florida, but I mean that's as Florida man as you can get.
That is as
Yeah.
Florida man as
So
it
like
gets.
what was your role in that, man?
it was called Joe Exotic before he was king, and what it did was it was like the prequel to the Netflix series, where basically we looked into the occurrences in his life some of the traumatic events that happened that caused him to be the way we now know him to be. The guy went through a lot of shit, child abuse, lost his brother at a very young age to a drunk driver, um, got involved in drugs, was somebody at a young age who realized that he was gay but didn't know how to come out to his parents who weren't really accepting of that. So he went through a lot of things, and again, it's okay to feel sympathy for him, but I'm there in the episode. My role is to kind of remind the viewer, like, listen, you could feel bad for him, but there's a lot of people who go through similar circumstances and don't end up killing innocent tigers and hiring people, to kill other humans. So at the end of the day, this guy is a manipulator. He is a criminal, and he's right where he needs to be. So I'm that guy. I'm that guy in the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how was it, like, just as bad as the show, like the Netflix series? Like his life before that series like just that bad?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like I said, there was sex abuse, sexual abuse, and he went through a lot, no doubt. He went through a lot, and there's a psychologist in the episode that really break down the mind and how these things can affect your long-term, like, cognitive ability, your decision-making process. And, a lot of it, like, you're like, okay, I understand it. I get where he's coming from. I know why he is the way he is. And then I kind of bring in the legal aspect of it. Like, listen, yep, that's fine. But there's a lot of people who've gone through similar situations who are functioning, contributing members to society. So it's okay to acknowledge what he's been through, but it's not okay to use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
Well put.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
When it comes to, like, this investigative stuff, like in like the movie you're writing, the Discovery show, I saw you're on like a bunch of CBS shows. You're on Dr. Phil. Like, since you were on Big Brother and they knew you were this detective and kind of this cop figure on Big Brother, is that why you're getting all these gigs? Like, it's because, like, hey, look, this guy knows what he's doing and he actually can look good on TV and know, like, he knows the role. Like, because I'm seeing, like, you're not getting, like, typecasted, but I can see that, like, you're, like, kind of the expert in this industry when it comes to that kind of stuff. The more and more research I've done.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it, and I'm not trying to be, like, humble or anything. I think some of it's just luck. Like, when I got off Big Brother, true story, CBS, Big Brother, they were like, okay, thanks for winning the money. You can go home now. Not in a bad way, but, like, they were great to me, and they were just like, okay, the show's over. We don't need you anymore. And before I left, I had an agent reach out to me and just say, hey, listen, I wasn't a huge fan of Big Brother, but my daughter was, and she said I should look into you, and I've started to look into you, and I'd like to meet you before you go home. And I had just been in the house for 90 days, hadn't seen my wife or daughter, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll call you back. And I literally flew back to Rhode Island. And then when I got home, this guy, his name's Harry Gold, spoiler alert, he's my agent still, was like, I really think we need to talk because I think there's an opportunity for you here, and it's a small window. And I said, listen, I really don't want to do any more reality TV. I don't want to do, Survivor or Amazing Race or anything like that. And he's like, I'm not talking about any of those shows. I want you to go into true crime. And I'd like you to fly out here. So he flew me out there. We linked up, got an opportunity to do an OJ special, a 6-part series for Discovery ID called Is OJ Innocent? The Missing Evidence. I thought it would be a one-off, so I did it. And then all these other opportunities started coming in. And it's like one of those things, once you're in the Rolodex of those networks, you're always available. And Is OJ Innocent led to the Breaking Homicide series, which led to the Dr. Phil appearances. So it's kind of like a snowball effect. So there's a lot of guys who are just as qualified, if probably not more qualified than me, but it's just like I'm in that world now, and you start to build a credibility there. And I think, they go to what they know.
I mean, kicking ass in season 16 was kind of crazy. I mean, like I said, I know Big Brother's kind of getting into this conversation right now, so I'll let Chase say. I just know, like I said, I've never seen, we were talking about this before, I've never seen Big Brother really prior to finding out that Chase landed you on the podcast.
And it sucks for Jason because we have like a group chat, and 3 out of the 5 of us in the group chat, all 5 people in the group chat are involved in the podcast in some way. Yeah. And every time Big Brother comes on, I feel so bad for Jason and Kevin because they have to sit here and listen to Chris, Jose, and I talk about Big Brother, and they're just like, kill me now.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I will say this. I will say this about Big Brother. Anybody who's watched the show because someone tells them to watch it, I have rarely heard them say, "Oh, I'm not into it."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like afterwards, like they're like, "Fuck, now I'm hooked."
I have a feeling I will be. It's almost like FOMO at this point where I'm like, damn, you've already had, 22 seasons? And I'm like, and now I'm joining in. What's going to happen is I'm going to get into it, and then next season,
you can start from season 2.
There's plenty of time, bro.
You can skip season 1. Just start from season 2.
So let's do this. I feel like, Derrick, you know this best. So for everybody that's like me and Kevin are assholes that don't like Big Brother, or don't know about Big Brother, give us kind of
they're not all assholes like y'all.
Give us a synopsis
guys.
of what Big Brother really is, and then I'll let Chase and them have at it.
It's kind of like the Hunger Games, right? Like 16 people go into a house. They lock the doors. You have no TV, no magazines, no books, no cell phones, no interaction with the outside world. You don't see another human being unless they're involved in like a competition the entire season. And the season is approximately 100 days. So 16 people trapped in a house for 3 months. Every week, at least one person gets evicted from the house, and that's decided by the HOH and the remaining house guests. So what the HOH is the head of household. So there's a competition every week. Someone wins head of household. They put 2 people up for eviction. The house votes on who goes home. And every week, week by week, someone goes home until there's only one person left, and that person wins $500,000. So it's a bunch of rats in a house, all fighting for one piece of cheese. There's a lot of twists and powers and strategy that goes along with it. People develop alliances. There's a competition called the Power of Veto competition, which means if you're on the block, you have an ability to take yourself off. Every season is a little different, but the main premise is 16 people go in there for one prize. One person at the end goes home with it. Last person standing.
And you won.
You said that way better than what I would have said.
Oh, much better, much better.
I've had to answer that question once or twice in my life.
I figured.
Just a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm like going through all of these interviews, like what haven't like people asked, and I'm like, fuck, this is hard. Like I'm just just gonna wing it and like let's just see what happens. I'm sure you've had a variation of some kind of question we're about to ask. So
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely Big Brother wise. Yeah, I've heard it all. I think we'll see. We'll see after tonight.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. I'm gonna start at the beginning because we were kind of talking about it before we really got into recording. Chris was mentioning our friend Rob and saying that he thought Rob would be great on the show. Why doesn't he just go on the show? And I was telling Chris, like, it's not as simple as like, hey, I want to go on the show. I get to go on the show. So I gotta know, like, how did you get on? Like, what was the process into getting on the show?
You know, it's part of the reason that I wrote a book, because it's like I knew what the show entailed, so I knew what they would be drawn to. They didn't necessarily want to hear about that I was a father with kids, or that I liked playing sports and I was a college baseball player. I had to find something that would differentiate me from all the other cast members that I had just recently watched, because I knew every year they were looking for something different, right? So I was like, what's my angle? And I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to say. So I set up my camera. It's supposed to be a 3-minute video. I did a 2-minute video because I wasn't paying attention. And I said, if this was the camera I'm looking at, I said, hey guys, my name's Derrick Levasseur. I'm 30 years old. I'm a former undercover detective. I'd like to go on the show and infiltrate the house as an undercover detective. I'm never going to tell them I was a former undercover detective. And I'm going to approach this season as an undercover detective, trying to get to the end instead of a house guest, so that the viewers get to watch me use the skills and techniques I learned as an interview and interrogator in the house to ultimately win me the money. I'm only applying one time. If you guys are interested, give me a call. If not, I look forward to the season. Thanks. I got a call in about a week.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Bro, you put him in a corner.
It's genius.
You literally
really
said,
did,
I'm only
yeah.
going to apply once, and this is it?
I said it was my 30th birthday. This is a bucket list. I'm applying one time. I'm not coming to an open call. I think I could do something that's never been done in the game before. So if you guys are interested in that, I'd love the opportunity to speak to you further. And then I got a call in about a week and said, hey, come out to New York. We want to see you in person. And I went out there in person.
badass.
And you did. You did. You kept your end of the bargain, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
that's
did
what
something, in my opinion, that hadn't been done.
Yeah. So speak on that though, because I know that's a big thing. Everything that I read in comments, and we were talking about this before, was like there would be these ones, and Chase wrote about it. He had you as your top 5 blog, and this is kind of what or top 5 Big Brother winner, and this is kind of how you got on the show. Is like he wrote those started building up more like traction. We were actually getting a lot of readers and views and whatnot. And then like when your name comes up, it's always about you changing the game. Like what did you change, or in your argument, what are they trying to imply?
Well, it could be a good or a bad thing. So, I mean, the one thing that I did differently was nobody's ever gone in there, I don't think, and lied about their profession the way I did and lasted the whole season till I waited until they voted before I told them who I was. but also a lot of people, there's been articles written about it, that I kind of created this groupthink style of play, which is kind of considered boring, where, I developed this big alliance and we just kind of plow through the house. We just win competitions. We're just a bunch of good competitors, and we slowly just pick off the outsiders one by one. And instead of people thinking independently, there's this style of groupthink. And I will acknowledge that we did do that. I wish I was the one that created it, but it had been done before me. There was seasons like season 12 with the brigade. There's been seasons that did it before me, and it's not really like a new thing. It's just, honestly, statistically speaking, it may not work every season, but if you want to increase your chances of winning, that's the best strategy to win. It just like when you could go in there. There's two schools of thought. I'm going to go in there and try to entertain the viewers, or I'm going to go in there and try to win $500,000. And for me, it was never about entertaining the fans. I wanted them to like me, but I could give a shit about like being entertaining. I was going in there to be surgical. My wife, before I left, said to me, like, why are you doing this? Like, what is the reason? And we were doing okay, but we weren't rich by any means. And I looked her right in the face and I said, because if you let me go, if you give me permission to go, I'm going to win the fucking money. And
Nice.
she goes, well, you bet. And she goes, well, you
well
better. And my whole season was like, I'm winning this for my daughter and my wife. That's it. People got tired of me saying it on the feeds, but I was like, I just had my daughter's 18 months old. I can win $500,000 for her if I stick to my plan. Nobody's beating me, period. Nobody's beating me. And so it was kind of boring, but I recently, and I'm sure we'll dive into this recently, it's like, oh, you ruined the game because nobody makes moves anymore. Everyone just goes with the larger group. And it's like, yeah, because they're going there to win.
Right.
Like, why would you want to
exactly.
why would you want to be in the crowd of less, like, I want to be with the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And then you make a move or you win a competition. And a lot of people don't like that because a lot of their favorites are on the outside. That's why they're underdogs. And, from a viewer's perspective, that's not the most fun. They want to see controversy. They want to see drama. They want to see dissension. They want to see chaos. But for the people playing, they're like, dude, I just left my family for 3 months. I'm not coming here to go home with nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to win the whole thing, exactly.
Well, and it's like you said, that's a load of BS to say that like you were the first one to like make some big group. That's not true at all. You can go back to plenty of seasons, even going back to season 6, where there was 2 big groups fighting against each other the whole time.
Right.
The next season 7 All-Stars, there's S6. It's just that your group
they went after that whole alliance.
Yeah. It's just
And
your group happened to win.
And here's the
Exactly.
bottom line, and we might talk about recent Big Brother, but like that's the big narrative this season is like, oh, the big group ruined it. They fucked this season up. They ruined it. The reality is all it takes, like you said, alluded to season 6, is for someone on the other side to win an HOH. Just
Exactly.
one.
Yep.
And you
Well-
fragment that larger group.
Completely change the
Well,
game.
win the HOH and take a shot at them, dude. Too many times, like watching those seasons, it's like there's a big group. They win the HOH and like, I'm gonna play it safe so I can stay like 7th in line with the big group.
Yo,
that's
explain
not
what-
that's
Yeah,
not
no,
going
it's
to
not gonna-
win.
All right, this
No.
is where I chime in as the non-Big Brother person, just to get clarification on the HOH. Like the HOH gets more than just becoming like the head of the house and like dictating that kind of stuff. Because I heard you guys get like your own rooms and shit. Like I said, I watched this 7-hour recap of the show of your season, so I didn't get all the ins and outs. So I had to go on this like Oprah Winfrey like article to talk about all the language and rules you guys go through. So what is the importance of an HOH? Because you guys said it like 15 times.
From a psychological well, you do win. You're safe for the week.
Yeah.
You get to target 2 people that you want to go home. And the side benefit is you get your own room, your own bed, your own bathroom, because there's one bathroom for 16 people on the first floor. And the biggest thing is you get you get photos from home of your loved ones and a letter from your loved ones. And you get a basket that contains like all things that you like from home and music you like from home. So for the week you might get like I got like my favorite soap or my favorite like deodorant that they might not have in the house, but that's my stuff that I like from home. And you get like I got a bag of Oreo cookies and some sushi, and like things that my wife knew I liked. And then I got a letter from her giving me like an update on like how my daughter was doing. I got pictures from them, so you don't get to see them at all unless you win HOH. So that's the other like emotional benefit of winning HOH.
Yeah. Okay.
Not to mention you can't go on slop, which for
Oh,
like a
yes.
person that loves
Yeah.
food,
You don't want that.
a person that
No
loves
slop.
food like me, like I was talking with my wife the other day. I was like, dude, like something that just hit me watching, because I've been rewatching some older seasons of Big Brother. I was like, one thing that like just hit me that I had never thought of before in all the years watching Big Brother. I was like, I don't know if I could do slop. Like,
what is slop?
Oh, it's gross.
Derrick can probably explain it better than I can.
To be honest with you, it's basically just flavorless oatmeal. And I don't know if you guys know what steel cut oats are.
Yeah.
But they're like a hard oat. And that's all it is. It's like flavorless oatmeal with steel cut oats. It tastes like shit. And you might think like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But that's the only thing you can eat for an entire week.
And how do you get that?
They provide you like a bag of it, and you get.
Oh no, I mean like what makes you?
Oh, you become a have-not.
You become a have-not, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
So
I guess my next question is
sleep
what's
in
a
like a shitty
have-not?
room.
Different seasons have different like rules for who becomes a have-not. Like the current season, which I kind of like, and it's kind of messed up. The way the have-nots are chosen is whoever was have-not last week chooses one person to be a have-not the next week.
So there's always a have-not every single week.
Yeah, there's usually
Not
multiple
necessarily.
have-nots.
In early seasons, it's like the group like competed in food competitions.
Yeah.
They've kind of done away with that a little bit.
Gotcha.
But,
Yeah. It changes every week
but-
and every season, but yeah, I like the format this year because it used to be the HOH would pick the have-nots, and so it's even more like blood on their
Extra
hands because they're just
target.
they're just showing their cards to everyone. But now it's like dissension within the ranks because they're picking, they're going after each other. So I think they should keep it that way. Actually,
I like that too. They should keep that.
I gotta know, Derrick. I watched. I think it was last Thursday's episode, maybe. Cody made like tacos for everyone, and he was like the last one to go and eat. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but he was like the last one to go and eat the tacos, and they called him into the living room before he ever got to eat the tacos, and he got chosen as a have-not, dude.
Yeah, no, brutal. He wasn't happy, and that's the point. Like he got chosen by someone else who was, if it was up to the HOH, that was his. Who was HOH that week? Memphis.
It was Memphis, yeah.
Memphis wouldn't have made him an HOH, but because they made it different this year, he got picked. And yeah, it sucks, but
he was pissed, dude.
Yeah, it's part of the game, man. It's part of the game. You know, if I were him, I would have taken a taco and shoved it in my mouth before I sat down.
Right before you did it.
That's what I told Mary. I was like, I would have chowed down.
Yeah, I truly think
he was some tacos.
He was so surprised. He was like, "What?" Like you could tell. I know Cody. My daughters call him Uncle Cody. I mean, we knew. I could tell by his face like it was a genuine like, I'm fucking pissed. You know what I mean? But hey,
he was
it's
mad.
part of the game. It's part of the game. Can't be mad for David because David's been taking that heat left and right.
Cody was second in season 16, right? Like it was versus you and him. And you guys became boys because of that, or were you guys boys during the entire show?
The Hitman.
Yeah, we became boys on day 2. It's like the weirdest thing, but like he's like a brother to me now. Like, and that's what was unfair about it on the season because I can't explain it. I don't know why. He's like a supermodel, like super charismatic kid who was like he was 24 at the time. I was 30, but like he was from New Jersey. I was from Rhode Island, and I don't know what it was. Just some people just connect. And on day 2, we were like, yo, you don't burn me, I won't burn you. One of us is walking out here with the $500K. How about that? And he's like, you got it. And we literally stuck by each other's side the whole time. And it was kind of unfair because it really quickly, as weirdly as it sounds, changed from like an alliance, like an agreement, to like boys, like best friends. And we were just laughing as we were playing the season.